So, want to make some money? Or do you find yourself returning to the hangar too often? Let's face it, this game isn't changing. What I'm going to teach you here will be ageless. Each segment will be time-stamped, so you can pick and choose what you want to go over. This guide is aimed towards PC and console players who already know a little bit about air combat. If you're completely new, watch some deafened tutorials first. This guide has been a long time in the making. Much help from Piank for his input, and Catwerfer for his feature. Let's get this over and done with. Go into Controls. Set binds for external and gunner view. Someplace easy to reach. Turn the instruction settings off. All of them. Set control mode in simulator to view. This won't affect mouse aim, but will be useful in simplified controls. It will be discussed later, just keep in mind that the settings for it are here if you want to fiddle with it. Set a bind for toggle control mode. Go to settings. Set autopilot for gunner and bomb sight modes to no. Set camera for aircraft gunner sight to no. And that's it. The fundamentals of gunnery, in War Thunder that is, are camera parallax, relative angle, and relative speed. Camera parallax refers to the positional relation between your camera, your gunners, and the crosshair. Your red crosshair and your gunner's green crosshairs converge 400 meters away. This fact cannot be stressed enough, as they are permanently fixed to 400 meters and cannot be changed. Something like a fighter will have the camera sit close to it. A 4 to 6 engine heavy will have the camera far out. While the plane and the gunner positions move around, the camera is unaffected. When you tell the gunners to fire, they will shoot at your crosshair, converging 400 meters away. If you fire at the target directly at 200 meters, the bullets will pass below and out of focus. If the target is at 800 meters, the bullets will shotgun out. If you fire at 400 meters, everything will connect. Relative angle refers to the angle of the target in relation to your bomber. Imagine your nose and tail as 0 degrees on a protractor, with the wings representing the highest angle at 90. How far the target is from your nose will be the angle. As the target transitions from 0 degrees to 90, the amount of lead will grow proportionally, eventually hitting a peak at 90 degrees and diminishing again. The target does not only have to be side on, but upwards and below too. This works in every direction, as long as you aim between the target and your tail or nose. If the target is actively flying towards you, it's performing a pursuit curve. No matter what angle it starts the curve in, that amount of lead will diminish as the target slides towards your tail. If the target is already behind you and begins to break off, the lead will grow proportional to the amount of time added to the bullet's journey. The inverse is also true, if the target begins to pull back in. There is something that does need to be addressed: the lag between your crosshair and the gunner's green ones. Even when overriding the AI gunners, they can still be affected by the turret mechanism and the crew skill. During drastic, high motion or out of focus shots, it's best to aim using just the green crosshairs alone, mentally blocking out your crosshair. That, or using your bullet stream. Relative speed is the total speed difference between you and the target. If the target is well faster than you, the amount of lead will be great. If both you and the target are slow, the amount of lead will not be affected. Though, if both your speeds are high, the increased bullet travel will affect lead. If you're well faster than the target, the amount of lead will be great again. So that's gunnery and aiming. But what about turning? So when you're in mouse aim, the plane will follow the cursor. Big shocker, I know. When you switch from external to gunner view, the plane will continue following where the cursor once was. When you move the cursor in a direction just before switching to gunner view, the plane will continue its turn unaffected. You can buffer in a turn with external view, switch to gunner view to fire, switch back to external view, and then pick a new course. You can repeat this over and over. Better yet, you can use keyboard controls to move the plane, overriding the cursor as long as a key is being pressed. With this, you are able to prolong or delay a plane's turn, quickly dodge, or pretty much anything. Now let's say you don't want to be fighting the cursor. You could try Simplified Controls. Press your bind to switch control modes and select Simplified. You'll notice how the plane holds position, depending on its speed, bank angle, and pitch. When you use keyboard inputs, the plane will respond, holding position at the moment you stopped inputting. This can make it easier to juggle aiming and moving, as you can focus on just aiming while the plane sits in position. Since you have the switch bind, you can go back and forth between mouse aim when needed. So what if you play on console, or just use a controller? I so happen to have one. It still works. Let's quickly go back into controls again. Using the settings we made earlier, we'll add binds in for our controller. Throttle access to D-pad, roll, pitch and yaw bound to left stick, flaps to D-pad, gear is both sticks pushed down, firing is right trigger, bomb is Y, rocket is X, toggle gunners is mashing all the buttons, gunner control is right stick. External, gunner and bomber view are bound to the bumper buttons, or the black and white buttons for me. Tracking camera is left trigger. Looking around is also the right stick. The instruction settings are optional, whatever suits you best. Because I want the extra control, I have manual engine controls set to A. Mixture, propeller pitch, radiator and oil radiator are set to the combination of D-pad and bumpers. Supercharger gear is set to pushing down on left stick. And don't forget the extinguisher. Remember to switch back to Simplified before exiting. Because I'm not very good with controllers, I'm going to go into a PvE scenario. If you want to practice gunnery without other players, this is the best way how. Get yourself a fighter, it has to be a fighter, select test flight. Bottom left, select mission editor. In the scenario section, select head-to-head combat. Bombers don't get this scenario sadly, only fighters. Choose the difficulty of bots that you see fit. We'll choose veteran. Choose what plane you want to fight. It's really up to you. Same thing with using simplified controls with a mouse and keyboard. Just on controller. Gesture your plane into turns while tracking your enemy. I know where to aim. I just don't have the dexterity with my right thumb to do so. I'm sure someone skilled and determined enough can pull this off. This is where it gets subjective. This is how to conduct yourself in a match. There's a setup to every fight. Some setups are carefully prepared. Some other setups are happy surprises that need taken care of immediately. With your knowledge in movement and gunnery, you are able to choose or at least influence the setup of an incoming fight. Setup, meaning the gunner's relation to the target, means you, as the pilot, have to orient your plane so the gunners are able to get in range. Safe setups may include having the enemy slow or at least slowing down, having the enemy below or at least at your altitude, going for 1v1 engagements and or 1v1s where other enemies cannot respond in time. What some may call brave setups may include having an enemy at the same speed or faster than you, having the enemy at the same altitude or higher than you, going for 1v many engagements, leaving no gap in between enemies. So setups are just scenarios you can find yourself in. What can you do about it? Here's some tools at your arsenal, in order of what to prioritize first. Your gunners and plane. Knowing what your plane can do and how it can defend itself is beyond important. Practicing with a bomber and its gunner's arc will teach you how safe or brave you can be with it. Altitude. Being higher than the enemy, from the air spawn you get, wow, you're able to choose from where and how you will approach the engagement. Altitude is also important for the next tool, speed. Being faster than the enemy, coming out of a dive let's say, means you can choose when to end the engagement. The enemies. Knowing what your adversary or adversaries can do is equally important to knowing what your plane can do. So that's some tools. What about some techniques? Boom and zoom. When a target is unaware or unable to respond, you can take the offensive. Using speed and altitude, dive in a target. When you are just about to pass, pull out of the dive and pass below the target. Fire point blank range. If needed, pull up and gain altitude. Offset or fake head-ons. With an enemy approaching, you approach it head-on. When you get to the 1 kilometer mark, or when the target starts firing, turn away sharply at 90 degrees. Up, sideways, down, diagonally, as long as you start notching the target. This works best for structurally rigid airframes. Chandelles. Due to bombers having bigger wings and more lift, they can sometimes stall fighters out. This can be used to prolong a pursuit curve, and many more things. Sounding shots. From any angle possible, firing short to very short volleys of fire at the enemy trains your aim while telling them that you're gonna put up a fight. Pursuit curve extending. When an enemy is turning into you, assume a side-on or flat position and turn in slowly, gaining speed. When the target gets in range, transition into a flat turn and fire. Diving. When altitude is abundantly sufficient and an enemy is diving on you, you dive until you match speed with it. Firing is recommended. Defensive flying. When a target is too close for comfort and well within range, the best option is to evade, moving erratically, gaining speed, diving, all while maintaining continuous fire. Your teammates. When everything else fails and you're being chased down by the enemy team, gunners reloading, the best option will be to run and find help. So those are some tools and techniques. Here's some do's and don'ts. Do move unpredictably, out of reach of enemy fire. Do set up an exit for yourself, at any moment. Do take risks when either at definite advantage or at jeopardy. Don't sit still, in reach of enemy fire. Don't fully commit to a fight, not worrying about your surroundings. Don't be reckless.
Coming in for another dive. I checked the flight models afterwards and it does seem like they do outturn, but don't outspeed me. I was just climbing a little too aggressively here. I'm hoping I can finish him off here, and predictably he does the same upwards dodge again, and I managed to pump quite a few shots into him, but it doesn't really do anything, so...
So yeah. Crew skills, yeah. For the pilot, you pretty much want everything. For defensive armament, we want G tolerance, stamina, and vitality. The number of experienced gunners only need to match the amount of gunners on your plane. If your plane only has 1 or 2 gunners, you'll only need to upgrade the number to that amount. In logistical services, everything is useful, especially reload speed and weapon maintenance. So, what do you pick? Here's some questions to ask yourself when looking through the tech tree. Is the gunner and the gunner positions good enough for the battle rating? Is the bomber fast enough for its battle rating? Is the engine power to weight ratio high enough to get you out of sticky situations? Can the wings support the weight in a turn? If you can say yes to all of these questions, you have a winner. Here is a graph. It shows a selection of aircraft with gunners, graded by their speed and difficulty. Fixed or forward firing guns are not taken into consideration in this graph, only the plane's flight model and gunner configurations. I've split the difficulty into 3 main segments: Ideal, Intermediate, and Challenging. Ideal planes tend to be generalists. Ticking yes to all the questions before, these aircraft have reliable tools and options to use when in conflict. The airframe and wings are built to withstand hard maneuvers. The gunners have potent, wide-reaching kit with generous pools of ammo. The power-to-weight ratio allows for a competitive pace when climbing, and the ability to power out of defensive maneuvers. These aircraft are the easiest to do well in. However, there is an apparent problem. There are no ideal planes that are truly fast. This is the trade-off between packing in so much firepower and engines on a fat wing. This is usually no problem at all. Your airspawn will guarantee an energy advantage as soon as you see an enemy. Where this is an issue is when an enemy gets smart and starts running away. If you're down on tickets, that's a big problem. This leaves you with an ultimatum. To go faster and still defend yourself, you have to make some sacrifices. Intermediate planes start to branch off into different builds. Some planes shed size, gunners, and weight. Others add more in. Heavier designs add more firepower and bombing capability, at the expense of maneuverability or speed. What follows is a playstyle heavily reliant on your aim, as you may not be able to get out of the way without either structural or enemy damage. Lighter designs tend to keep only the dorsal turret. This makes it impossible to shoot in front, below, or directly behind, due to the plane being in the way. This forces you to rely on the maneuverability you gained in the weight reduction. This playstyle consists of continuous maneuvering so that the gunner is always in range. Challenging planes are specialist by design, being the most capable in aspects while totally deficient in others. Designs become so heavy and large that the wings can't support the weight in any meaningful turn. This divides your attention between managing the wing loading and any external factors heading away. What makes up for your losses is the immense firepower you can send downrange. Most designs here will feature multiple cannon armed turrets, with plenty of explosive filler. Lighter designs become archaic, fully committing to speed and maneuverability. This leaves their gunner positions cramped, offering narrow and shallow fields of view. This playstyle is a true test of your ability to control the plane while aiming. As these designs still offer high caliber weapons to the gunners, it allows for traditional dogfighting to be viable. If you want an insight on specific aircraft, there is no time in this video, but it can be another one. And that's what I'll leave you on. Pick something that is forgiving. Practice. Throw enough manure at the wall, and it's going to eventually stick.